be talking about Gliphic and our journey using Elixir. Before we jump into, we'd just like to introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is Negi. I'm an engineering lead at Glific, and I've been working on Glific for past 3 years. Today, I have with me Shamoon.
Hey everyone, my name is Mohammed Shamoon and I'm a senior software developer at Gliphic. Before we move forward, let's do a quick check. If you can give a quick thumbs up or a show of hands, people who have worked with social sector organizations before or even heard of social sector organizations. Oh. Nice. Empower teams again. Okay. Some people have heard, some have not. I did a quick check-in because the organization that we work for, if you can move, it's called Project Tech for Dev, and we are what we call ourselves as technology partner for social sector. Our vision is to see the world that has a strong technology ecosystem powering the social sector. Right now, social sector organizations are kind of afraid to use tech in their programs. We believe that with tech, they can supplement and aid their programs and even scale their programs better. How do we do that? Our mission is not to do it alone. We are trying and building a support of ecosystem of software partners, data and design companies, even non-profit partners to create and work towards this goal and create an impact globally. Next, I want to start with a story before moving on to why I started Gliphic or why Elixir for Gliphic. Moving over to Akhilesh.
So I'll just quickly walk you through how a typical NGO journey looks like. And it's like a very generalized version of it. So any NGO or a social sector organization starts with identifying the problem. Next, they understand the pain points of the problem. Then they define a solution for that problem. And when I say defining a solution, I mean designing a program catering to the needs of their beneficiaries. Next comes the implementation part, where implementation is done through field visits with the help of field workers and volunteers for that organization. Once the solution is implemented, organization want to understand the impact, and the impact, understanding the impact comes through field visits and field-based data collection for monitoring and evaluation. After understanding the impact, they decide the next steps. So next steps can be either scaling the program or improving based on the feedback and analysis they got. So that's on a high level. I'll give you an example of a journey of an NGO working in an education sector. So these points remain same. So identifying a problem is like many students, especially those from underprivileged background, lack crucial social and emotional skills. What are the pain points? That the school curriculum does not include these vital life skills. Then organization, how they define a solution is designing a program which focus on these skills through art, dance, drama, and using a choice-based learning approach. So choice-based learning approach is a key factor here, that it's not a part of a school curricula, but it will be a choice-based. So based on the students' curiosity or whatever they want to pursue, they can opt for either dance, drama, or art. When it comes to implementing solution, they run this program in school at various classes. And when it comes to understanding the impact, tracking how the program was perceived by running interviews with the students and collecting data using various survey tools that they have. And once they have all this data, they can decide the next steps, which is either expand the program to have more activities for each of these categories like dance, drama, art, or bring it to different schools like cities, states to reach even more students. So that's how a typical journey of an NGO working in social sector looks like. Then comes the COVID. So Gliphic actually started after COVID only in 2020, where when the COVID entered, the world sort of imploded altogether, and NGO had to redefine what they did and how they did. And they need an alternative way to communicate with beneficiaries because of all the COVID restrictions. And similarly, with all these factors, COVID affected NGO and NGOs running their program. So identifying the problem, understanding the pain point, defining the solution remains same. The issue occurred from the implementation part. So they could not implement the programs on ground due to COVID imposed lockdown, and they were not able to get in touch with their beneficiaries. Next problem was understanding the impact. because lack of in-person access to beneficiary meant inability to monitor and evaluate the status and progress of their program. And because of these two problems, they were not able to define the next steps, as no implementation impact and no evidence made it possible to plan ahead and even to stay afloat as the non-profit needs funding. So even the program that they were running that time, because of COVID, those were affected. With these problems, we come to why we need Gliphic.
All right. So our NGOs needed an effective way of communication in those COVID times. They tried emails, they tried their own apps, even websites, and they could not find good results with that. Even they tried emails as well. So we needed a better way to reach and engage the beneficiaries. Next, we wanted to reduce the cost for those nonprofits. The cost should not be too much high that they could not even afford to get in touch with their beneficiaries. We wanted everything to be open source. So if we build something, other people can take advantage of that. People don't have to build in silos and cost a lot of money. And the final thing, we wanted to have a simple UI UX. In nonprofits, usually that comes from funding. People usually don't hire tech experts. That costs a lot, large more. We wanted to have a simple UI UX that with a low code and no code interface. With this, Gliphic came into picture. So let me tell you about what Gliphic is. It's an open source WhatsApp chatbot builder. It's specifically targeted to social sector organizations. With that, they can just create chatbots. They can create automatic conversations to engage with the communities and their field workers at scale. So how we solved our aim that we defined in the previous slide? As a communication alternative, we chose WhatsApp. WhatsApp is kind of dominated in the global south. And as you can see by this, as of 2022, India had around 487 million WhatsApp users. And it's projected to be around 795 million by 2025. So that's a large user base that we can target to. In terms of costs, we wanted the platform cost to be lower. So we implemented a multi-tenant system that reduced the cost for various organizations utilizing a SaaS platform. So with that, we just had a single app hosted and a single DB. The updates were easy, so that helped in lowering the cost for an organization. Our philosophy of open source helped in organizations can contribute back to the code base if they feel like something they need to be added, or even they can pick up the code and host on their own servers. And finally, we integrated an open source flow builder that has an intuitive UI. And in the further slides, you will see how that UI builder can help in creating automatic conversations. Next, we'll see a quick demo of the platform. English audio is not.
Audio not clear?
Yeah.
Let me share my screen again.
That engage.
Is it fine now?
Yes.
If you are an NGO that engages with more than 500 beneficiaries on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, running various programs such as health awareness drives, counseling, education at home, support helplines, or delivery of other services, then you know the pains of making sure that all your end users are responded to in a timely manner, the pains to gather data from those interactions and measuring it for better impact. The problem is not having the right tools to efficiently communicate with your end users at a large scale. Now, you can use a no-code automated conversation builder to interact with millions of end users at the same time. It's a new way which is going to change how NGOs digitally interact with their end users. This is how it works. When your end user messages you, all the contacts show up here on the right side. You can view the conversation history along with all the messages exchanged with the beneficiary here. While they're using their WhatsApp application on the phone, you're using Gliphic to interact with them. To set automated conversations, you can go into flows. It's a simple process of joining the blocks. When you want to send a message, you click and drag the arrow to send a message. You can type in your message, and then, when you want to take an action based on the user's response, you can create a wait for response block and then guide them based on their response. You can attach media files to your message and format it in a way that makes your message appealing to the user. You can send them the same message in multiple languages by simply adding translations for each message. You can hit preview to check how the conversation would run on the end user's WhatsApp. When you want to save information for later use, like their name or age, you can simply use the Update Contact block. And when you want to track goals and behaviors, you can label a message as urgent because your beneficiary needed urgent help. Later, you can see all the messages at a glance that were labeled urgent. You can notify a staff member to check out the chat in case you anticipate that someone might need help. Your staff will be alerted via WhatsApp to check out the conversation. You can use the label again to track if you were able to help all the people who needed urgent help. When you want to put contacts together based on common interests or services they would like to receive, you can create collections by going into the collections screen. And then linking it in flows puts the contacts in collections based on their response. You can also trigger a message to all at once whenever you need. You can give your staff members the right level of access to the application. All your messages, contacts, and labels information gets saved on your secure and private Google Cloud storage accounts, and you can access or download it in any format you'd like, such as Excel. The data is completely private and accessible to you at any time.
Perfect. With that, I'll just quickly share how Gliphic was used to bridge the gap that Akhilesh mentioned about an education sector NGO earlier. So with NGO coming in now, they have to redesign their whole program using some online tool, and they use Gliphic for that. Now they have designed the program in Gliphic, focusing on the specific skill sets like art, dance, and drama, and allows the users to choose what they want. Next, we implement the solution in Gliphic, and users can now chat on WhatsApp and have a one-to-one conversation. And it was easier for students to interact at their own place and time without feeling that whole overwhelmed by the group settings. Finally, we wanted to understand the impact of how Gliphic is working, how WhatsApp chatbot is working, and that could be easily tracked by the data that we send to BigQuery and eventually by the Looker Studio reports that we have. And once we get the data, we can add a feedback loop to the original automations and say, like, if this is not working, let's try this. Let's try something different. Finally, as for the next step, every organization starts with a pilot, and based on the qualitative and quantitative feedback, they decide either to expand their program or do something different to keep students more engaging or reach a wider audience. Next, we'll talk about why we chose Elixir specifically for Gliphic. There were three key reasons. First, we saw Discord, we loved Discord, and we saw that it was proven at large scale. At that time, Discord was using Elixir and have been handling real-time communications well. We also did some comparative research, and we saw that other products in similar space have started using Elixir and seem to be benefiting a lot from it. And finally, we wanted to experiment and try something new that come to market. Let's talk now about what's inside the platform.
So I'll just walk you all in the high-level architecture diagram of how things are. Just a big background that Gliphic has a split tech architecture. So the front-end side and the back-end side are hosted in a separate repository. So if I come to the architecture diagram, we have like two applications running. One is the back-end, one is the front-end. So for front-end to interact with back-end, we need GraphQL APIs. And all the data that is being saved is stored in a Postgres database. Here, the Postgres data is a multi-tenant. So all the organizations that are currently using Gliphic share the same database. It helps us in maintaining the overall cost less. And also from the maintenance perspective, we only need to maintain one database for all the organizations. Now, this is the Gliphic side of the things where you can set up messages. From the other side comes the beneficiary with their phone and WhatsApp. And now we want to link these two. Our Gliphic application where you can like send messages, and at the other end is the beneficiary with the mobile phone. So to link these two, we have the external services. So what happened is the Meta API are not public. So we cannot directly use the Meta API to send message to a beneficiary's phone. We have this WhatsApp Business API broker that are the middlemen, and they have access to Meta API to send and receive messages. So we use that. So they come as a middle layer. So all the messages that is sent from beneficiary first reach to these middle managers and then send it to Gliphic. And similarly, when you send a message from Gliphic, it will first go to the middle management and then it will go to the end beneficiary's phone. So that's how like the send and receive messages happen. Now we have the Glyphic up and running. Next, what we want is to have logs and error monitoring. For that, we use Logflare and AppSignal, and which turned out to be a really great choice. Once Glyphic was being used by organization, because all the data is being shared in a single database, we want NGOs to have access of their data, and it is one of our core philosophies that NGOs should have control over their data. And once they have control over their data, they can use that data either from the data warehousing point of view or to generate reports to get better insight. So we periodically sync data to BigQuery every minute. And once the organization have this data, we have also set up some Looker Studio reports. So Looker Studio reports, we have set up templates, which your organization can just pick it up and connect their BigQuery database and get basic insight. So all those are set up in the template. So NGO don't need to spend too much time in setting up the basic reports as well. They can just use those templates. With BigQuery and Looker Studio, these form the analytics and report part of the entire Gliphic ecosystem. So we have the entire application up and running. Now NGOs can use Gliphic to send and receive messages and get in touch with their beneficiaries. What additional thing they also need, like they have some other application that they are running internally or want to experiment with some third-party application. One of them, which are more famous, is OpenAI and ChatGPT. So even if organizations want to integrate ChatGPT in their Gliphic, they can just use it using API integration third-party. So that's on a high level what the architecture diagram looks like. While we are talking about the tools and technology we use, we want to give a special mention to Logflare AppSignal for logging and monitoring. AppSignal helped us really well in adopting Elixir, and all the issues that occurred at Gliphic, we used to get a notification, and AppSignal has also integration with Discord. So we used to get these Discord messages that, hey, something broke in your server, and from there we can just trace back all the errors that come into our application. Next, we want to also especially mention Oban, which helped us in job processing, like all the sending and receiving message, periodically sync data to organizations, BigQuery instance. All those things are done through Oban. And at last, we want to also mention GigaElixir. So we use GigaElixir for deployment. And in addition to hosting our app, we can also run an IEX session in GigaElixir. That way, we'll have access to our application and run a couple of functions or call modules which are needed to maintain the applications. Next, I want to highlight like what are the things we loved about Elixir. So when we started with Elixir, we loved the syntax and elegancy of writing the Elixir code, be it like the with statement or function overloading or the enums. Those all things just helped us really adopt to Elixir really well. Next was easy to extend the functionality. So all the code that we write, we like initially we only send and receive text message, then extend that same functionality to send and receive media messages, then use it for sending location as well in WhatsApp. So all those things were like extending the existing functionality. And with Elixir, we were able to do it quite fast. Next was easy debugging issues. Like I mentioned, we are using AppSignal to track all the issues. So at the end, Elixir is basically functions and inside each module. So whenever there was an issue that was highlighted by AppSignal, we just used to look at the function, see okay where the issue occurred, and just call that function with the stack trace of the error, and we were able to reproduce this in our local, and we are able to like fix it really well and really fast. Then fault tolerant. So Elixir, like all the code is then nearly down to Erlang, and Erlang is basically used for telecommunication. And how we are using Elixir is to some extent, is for sending and receiving messages, which is like a telecommunication only. So if in case we face any issue, like whenever a message is sent or message is received, there is some exception or something went wrong. So it will just kill that process only and does not bring a halt to the overall application, which was really useful. And then comes the all-in-one package. Though we are using Elixir, but we are also using Phoenix framework. And Phoenix is like an all-in-one package. It has Credo, it has doc validation, it has dialyzer, and the test cases. And it was quite important for us for test cases to be part of the application. And we have right now around 1,200 test cases. Then, of course, the constantly evolving Elixir. So with Elixir, like every now and then we see new updates, be it Gen server, be it live view. So all those things while we were working on Elixir, we find, okay, this is something new and we should try it. So we are using Gen server, live view, all those in our Gliphic code base as well. So with all these things, like things were so much easier and so much faster to do. And even when it comes to scaling as well, it was quite easy to scale our application. And we were using Gig Elixir for deployment. So scaling the application was like a click of a button. So all these things we like really love about Elixir. Now we come to like how things are right now in Gliphic and what the future looks like.
As for the current state, right now, Gliphic is being used by 90 plus organizations in India and 2 in Africa. And 77 million messages have been exchanged so far in the past 3 years in Gliphic. Over 1.2 million beneficiaries have been reached through this. That is the reach of Gliphic. As for the configuration, in Gig Elixir, the memory is 4 GB and the CPU is 4 core. And that is hosting around, like, as you can see, 92 plus organizations. And with such a low scale, we could use this much organization. So that is quite good and efficient for the help of Elixir. Second, I'll just point out 2 main processes that we run every minute. One is the syncing of our DP to individual BigQuery instance of the organizations. And that is the database sync. And second is the media sync. Like if some person has sent in images or videos through their WhatsApp, that media goes to their individual cloud storage account. So that is a permanent sync that we run on the app. So that is the current state. We are looking forward now to bring more AI and ML capabilities to Gliphic. With the rise of LLMs, we want it to be more human friendly. Like it should not be talking a robotic voice. People should feel like they're talking to someone. So with that in mind, I think the next would be like bringing those capabilities to Gliphic. Right now, Gliphic has a core team and like some individual contributors that come in and contribute, but we wanted to have an expanded open source community so that we can take it in a good direction through all over the world. Next, we want to have specific like good partnerships with India. Like in India, we have around 90 plus organizations and we want to expand it to global south. So we want organizations to see this and take part and help see if it can be used in their context, if where WhatsApp is used. And finally, since we are a non-profit organization, definitely everything works with funders' money, and we definitely would love to have more funders. With that, I would like to thank you all. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions regarding Soul Sector, regarding Gliphic, regarding Tech for Dev, what we do. You can reach out to us through emails and LinkedIn. Akhilesh, feel free to add if I missed anything.
All right.
Yeah,
thank you. Sorry. Yeah, thank you for your talk. It's really nice to see that you already reached so many people. So if you have questions, people in the audience or at home, you can use the Huva app to post a question. I don't see one currently yet, but I'm kind of interested because you mentioned that your tool is open source and you want to expand the open source community. Are there any things that you're currently looking any help with, and how can people actually contribute to your project?
Yeah, so we have our community in Discord. So like, and there are open issues in our repository as well. So if you feel like there is any issue that you can pick up, you can just reach out to Discord. And all our like social sector NGOs, they are also in Discord. So we are using Discord for support as well. Like if any organization need help with Gliphic, they can just reach out in Discord.
Okay, that's nice. Did you, because I presume you also have worked in other sectors as before, can you also highlight if there are any big differences between a social sector and a commercial sector?
Yeah. So we are only work on social sector, and when we come to Gliphic as well, so they are like alternatives of Gliphic for like for profit organization. So, but there are no good solution, or at least from the financing perspective, no low cost solution for our social sector organization. That's why we want to come up with Gliphic and help those social sector organization. There are already solutions for profit, but those are a bit on a higher price side. And we are focusing only on social sector.